Okay, hey everybody, Kim here with Lead Generation Source, and I am actually testing out a software program. You can see the watermark on this video. I say video, it's a live stream. You can see the watermark on the live stream, the StreamYard, I believe is what it is. So we're going to test that out while we talk about e-commerce in 2020. And let me just go ahead and get this possibly shared into other groups. So I can, well, share it to our group. How about, huh? We're going to group, there we go. Say post. And I'm going to also share it to my Little Biz Resources page. For those of you who don't know, that is another page that I manage. And I'm going to go ahead and post it in there as well. Okay, so we've got that posted. And I believe if anybody hops on, I'm doing this late as in addition because, well, I'm testing everything, right? Including my microphone, my setup, everything. So I didn't want to be everybody here and doing this, but we will talk more about, you know, some of these concepts this month. And actually next week, I'm going to have another live scheduled. So anyway, let's talk e-commerce in 2020. And please pardon the stuffy nose and the stuffy sound that I'm making. I'm still getting over a cold, but I did want to quickly discuss some of these things. So in 2019, we heavily tested print on demand. So it only makes sense that we do now review some of our experiences from 2019. Now, I've been selling on Amazon since 2013, and I'm going to briefly talk about Amazon, but we're going to have a whole different thing on Amazon later. So we'll talk a little bit about it. Now, there's another, or I should say a new variation of an e-commerce model that's releasing at the end of this month. So we're going to have a brief overview of that as well. So stay tuned and you will get all of this, plus probably more if I drop something, possibly entertainment, who knows? All right, so is e-commerce still a viable money-making option? And I say money-making option specifically because the whole point of business is to make money. Right? I mean, we get into these groups and a lot of people are like, well, I just want to be able to sell stuff. Well, if you want to sell stuff and not make money, that's easy. Selling stuff and making money, that's the hard part. So is it still a viable money-making option? So e-commerce statistics for 2019 are still estimates. I mean, it's January 7th, right? January 7th, and it's the evening, by the way, like pretty late. And nothing's available. In fact, I got a couple of third quarter numbers that I was surprised to find, but fourth quarter is definitely not out yet. But everything so far indicates that there's record-breaking sales from 2019, which is good news. So an article I found was in response to the highest shopping mall vacancies in 20 years. So initially you'd say, oh, hey, if there's so many shopping mall vacancies, then sales must be down. But according to payments.com, they said people are shopping and spending is strong, but e-commerce is getting most of the sales rather than physical stores. So we're seeing an actual shift. You know, for the last few years, we've been saying, well, all of spending is increasing, but now we're starting to see a shift away from physical stores. Now, I do have an opinion about shopping malls. And I don't think that the shopping mall vacancy is really related to e-commerce sales increasing. That's my opinion. That's based on my own general observation. My husband and I both have this discussion regularly where we think shopping malls are a fad that is now gone. But, you know, that's just me. Anyway, so ultimately, yes, e-commerce is still a viable money-making option. But as with all gold rush situations, and that's what I would call this, everybody is rushing to get gold. In this case, it's e-commerce. Competition has significantly increased over the years. I mean, significantly increased. I have been in e-commerce pretty much since I've been online. My first website I ever built was an e-commerce store, right? That was back in 1998 or 1999, one of the two. I couldn't get a payment processing until I was 18, so it had to be either 1998 or 1999. So yes, and it is viable, but it is definitely competitive. However, it's also a lot easier to do than it was back then. So if you want to jump into e-commerce, what is the best method in 2020? So I just told you, yes, e-commerce is still viable, but what should you do? So let's talk about our 2019 print-on-demand testing. So it's now 2020. We've ended all of our testing for 2019. What have we concluded? And to be honest, we'll have better conclusions another time where we can show more numbers and everything else, but I just want to kind of give you an overview. So my sister, Chrissy, and I, we have tested many, I didn't want to put all those manys on there, but we have tested a lot of different print-on-demand companies. They pop up all the time. We're constantly testing them. And we started in 2018 with many of you, and we continued on through 2019, thinking that this was literally going to be the golden ticket, right? This was going to be the gold rush epitome. I mean, it was going to be perfect. Print-on-demand has got to be the way to go. And our favorite was Printful until they had massive shipping issues. So we like their products, but their shipping is horrible. Their prices are horrible. They addressed the shipping later in 2019, but we didn't go back and test them again due to their pricing, right? We wanted to test other ones and see how they were doing. So no matter what print-on-demand company we tested, we couldn't get the quality high enough to match the pricing we had to set products at to make a potential profit. That's where we were at. And I'll explain this in just a second. So despite not having inventory up front, and we'll explore the variations in that pricing too later on, there is still a high risk when selling print on demand, especially when your margins are so low. So let's look at this. So the leggings cost from Printful is $25.95 plus $3.99 shipping. That's our cost to send it anywhere. So that's $29.94 for cost of goods, COG's cost of goods. So let's say marketing is only $5 per product. And you go, wait a second, I don't plan on spending any money on marketing. Then don't plan on selling anything, because marketing is an expense that you're going to have. If you're lucky enough to have a built-in audience, that's a whole different discussion. But for the normal person getting started, you have a marketing expense, marketing or advertising. So say $5 per product. Then you're going to have $5 in processing costs at least. So you have to sell this at $40 to break even. So when you look at your competition, you're saying, oh, hey, I've got my competition. Let's say I'm selling on Etsy. Oh yeah, I'm selling these leggings for $39.95 and I'm breaking even. Well, somebody else is selling theirs for even cheaper. They're taking a loss just to get that sale. Why? I don't know, other than there are some companies out there that are collecting data and selling the data, and that must be where they're making money, or they're planning the long haul, which is another strategy. But for most of us, we don't have that kind of budget, right? So many people are going to be selling with almost no profit. So you're going to compete against people with bigger marketing budgets that they either don't care about making money up front. They're just looking for that email list or that customer base, and they're just trying to get that started, and then they work their way up. This is very similar to what Walmart has done throughout the years. Now, I don't know if they do this anymore, but we studied this when back in my early years in college, so back in like 2000 probably. Yeah, probably around the year 2000. We were studying Walmart, and that was one of the things they talked about. Walmart would go into a community, they would lower all their prices at a loss, and then get all the customers going there, push all of the other companies out of business, and then they would move their prices back up. So it's a strategy. It is a business strategy that's been around forever. So now the theory is that if you sell a lot of these, let's say you're selling them at like $42, $43. Let's say even if you push them to $45. If you sell a lot of them, you're going to make a few $100s per product over time. And that's because, remember, your price point's higher. So it's not like you're making a ton of sales at $40-something for a pair of leggings. I mean, you can walk into Walmart and get some for like $10. So if you're selling these leggings and they're a higher quality and they're, something that people want, then you have the possibility of selling them, but you're not going to sell them at high numbers unless you do a lot of marketing and you're going to push those costs up. So assume that you'll make a few $100s per product over time, but most of the higher items need to have something special like personalization. So if you're paying $45, $50 for a pair of leggings, it's going to have something either like their name on it, or maybe it's something specifically that they can't get somewhere else, but you'll get less sales. Yeah. So in fact, we'll talk about this in a minute, but something we do is we use our print on demand for helping to promote the preservation of foundation organ horses. And that is kind of unique in that there's not a whole lot of products related to that. So people can't go, oh yeah, I can just go get Morgan Horse leggings at Walmart. You can't. That would be kind of cool. But you'll get less sales and you're going to spend more time on these and you're going to have to create more products to make money. So is print on demand a good idea in 2020? I'm going to say yes, especially for those of you who've already started and built up something. But you need to have a built-in audience or your marketing budget will be much higher than $5 per product. I was being very generous at $5 per product, and that's for sale, right? So you sell it, you could say, oh, hey, $5 of this was spent on advertising. It doesn't work out that way. And for those of you who ever seen me do my math on this, it's, you're going to spend $500 in advertising and you're going to make X amount of sales. And that's how you figure out how much per product, but that doesn't mean it equals that every single time, right? You may spend nothing at one point and get 5 sales. Whereas you could spend, $50 another time and get no sales. So it's just kind of the way it works. It averages out. So that's why I put a $5 there, but it could be much higher if you don't have a built-in audience. You need to have email marketing and remarketing in place to actually make a profit. This is kind of true for any e-commerce today, with one exception, and that's the Amazon method. But again, I'll talk more about that with Amazon, but if you don't have email marketing and remarketing in place, you probably aren't going to be making a profit, at least not one that's worthy of the amount of time you're putting into this. So print on demand requires you to have additional marketing methods that reduce the costs in place. Now you should be doing those anyway, because you want to obviously minimize all of your expenses overall, but it's at least something that you can kind of get started with. So another thing with print on demand is that you need to research a lot. Significantly. You need to make sure you sell a product that people want. So the days of just putting out 100 products and saying, oh, hey, which one sells? That still can work if you're patient enough. But that takes a lot of time. And if you really want to make sure you're selling and you're profitable, you're going to need to do some research. If you don't have any design skills, you will need to have a budget to pay a designer. And this can get pricey if you're testing products. If you have 50 products and you're paying $50 a pop, you just pretty much spent more than if you were to go with a completely different method. So this print on demand method is, at the best case, it's break even up front. Best case, if you want to be profitable, you're probably not going to be profitable with print on demand up front. And sorry about that. I didn't mean to hit the table. So more than likely you're going to lose money up front. So you need to have your back-end marketing process like email marketing in place. It's highly, highly improbable you're going to make money in the short term with print on demand. Now, there are exceptions. Like I talked about, if you have a built-in audience, you can, hey, you've got a bowling league that you can sell to easily or something. Hey, you make something that's related to what they want. You can sell it to them. You can make money. That's even on the short term. So the idea behind, is print on demand a good idea in 2020? Yes, if you're patient. And I don't think it's going to be income replacing money like a lot of people have tried to claim it is. And I just think that's the nature of print on demand right now. Even you can do merch by Amazon and make a couple bucks per product, but you have like no investment in that. At least you're actually making money with that. So in best case on that one is a few $1,000s a year when you first get started, and you still have to spend a lot of time building that up. So it's just something to think about when you're thinking about print on demand. So how is Amazon doing in e-commerce sales? For those of you who have not heard about the absurd increased sales from Amazon, here you go. Here's some right now. And again, I want to mention I will have a webinar dedicated specifically to Amazon since we've had that request, but I'm not an expert on Amazon. I sell on Amazon. I've been selling on Amazon since 2013, but I'm not an expert. So I just want to clarify that. So if you are interested in selling on Amazon, I wrote an article and recently added a lot of content. You can go to littlebizresources.com/Amazon. So let's take a look at Amazon sales for the last 10 plus years. So in quarter 3 of 2018, you can see the chart obviously, but I just want to highlight these two numbers. And the bump in those, every peak of that is quarter 4, right? Q4. So that's when their sales are just jumping. So when you look at this one does, let's see, Q1, Q3, Q1. I don't know why it doesn't flat out say Q4 on it, but anyway. If you look at the third quarter of 2018, so that would be not October, November, December, right? So it excludes those. That's fourth quarter. And in 2018 it was $56.58 billion. Now in 2019 for quarter three, this is a number I was surprised I could find, $69.98 billion. That is billion with the B, by the way. That's a 23.68% increase from 2018 to 2019. That's pretty big. And that's pretty big for any company, let alone an online one. And they're still only a fraction of the e-commerce world, by the way. So when we talked about e-commerce, is it still, a viable money-making opportunity? Yeah, it definitely is. It is growing overall. And Amazon is a place that they're trying to increase their market share of e-commerce, and they're doing a very good job. So is Amazon a good idea in 2020? So Amazon does have challenges. I'm not going to lie at all. I've been selling on Amazon since 2013. There are plenty of challenges. And there will be more on this on January 7th is when I'm going to do the live on Amazon about Amazon. So it does remain one of the best methods for producing income replacing profits. Okay, so if you want to replace your income, this is one of the best e-commerce methods to do that. And it's possibly the easiest to do income replacing profits in a short period of time. This is completely unpredictable. It's up to you how you how much time you put into it, et cetera. But there are people who who started selling on Amazon, and within a few months, they've been able to replace their income. And they made way more than I ever did. So I go, okay, yes, this is definitely a good method. There is a huge increase in competition on a regular basis. I mean, there's just the program that I recommend. They have, I don't know, several hundred to 1,000 people every time they release their training. But only a fraction of those are actually going to go into and actually sell stuff. But even still, think about that. You're like, man, there's hundreds of people constantly coming into Amazon and becoming your competition. And that is something that plays a factor in this. So Amazon continues to increase in Prime members and people buying on Amazon, which is really good news because this is a buyer market. This means that Amazon drives buyers right in front of your products, period, right? They're doing a lot of the work for you. Amazon is a massively trusted brand on the consumer side. So this means that people are more likely to make a purchase on Amazon versus like if they went to your website they've never seen before, right? They're going to go to kimsawesomeproducts.com, which I don't know if that's real, so don't go there. And they're going to say, oh, hey, I've never been here before. I like the product, but I don't know them. I'm not going to risk it. Whereas if they go on Amazon, everybody knows what Amazon is now. If they don't, they've been under a rock somewhere. And even my daughter knows what Amazon is. That's mostly because I buy a lot of stuff. So anyway, there's a lot of people that know Amazon. They trust Amazon. They know that if something's wrong, Amazon will make it right. So it's a very trusted brand. So you have a better chance of selling on there. And so is Amazon a good idea in 2020? Yes, if you're willing to put the work in for Amazon and have the money for upfront costs, which include training, inventory, advertising, and marketing, this is a great idea for 2020. Hold on just a second. Okay, hopefully that muted correctly. So yes, I think Amazon is still definitely a viable option for 2020. So are there other options? We've talked about other options before, and there are plenty of different e-commerce options. We've talked about affiliate marketing and drop shipping. And for those of you who've heard my rant on affiliate marketing, I am a big affiliate marketing fan, just not in e-commerce. It's a really low return and high risk for affiliate accounts shut down when you actually make money. And this is commonly linked to Amazon. And Amazon's one of the largest places you think, okay, yeah, I can sell stuff on there, but they've got a really low percentage. So you only make like 4 to 6% or something of most items. And then even then, a lot of people have reported when they start making fairly decent money, a couple $1,000s a month or something, Amazon just randomly shuts their account down and keeps whatever money they didn't pay out yet. And there's no rhyme or reason behind it. So it's one of those, it's tough. Affiliate marketing in e-commerce is a little bit tougher than I would think affiliate marketing should be. So that's my whole thing on that. I still think it's viable. I mean, if you have nothing better to do and you want to sit around and just, try to drive people to Amazon products and have them buy stuff, then hey, so be it. But your return is going to be very low for your time. Now, drop shipping usually focuses on products from China or already established brands, which makes you price compete or rely on risky suppliers. And this is also very, very competitive. Now, I should say traditional drop shipping, because Steve Clayton and Aiden Booth are releasing a new course, and they say that this is without a doubt the easiest to understand, simplest, most predictable, and most profitable business model we've ever taught. It really is e-commerce done differently in a way that people have not seen before. Now, even though it says that, I want to say I think I have seen this before, and I don't know. It's brand new, so they haven't released it yet. But I think I have seen it before, and I do like the model if it's what I think it is. And they've put a twist on it that has made it so that I guess it wouldn't have been seen before. But what they've done is basically they fine-tuned this particular model, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. So this new e-commerce system from Aiden Booth and Steve Clayton. So you need to mark your calendars for January 22nd for more details. It may come out, the information may come out before that, but just that's about the time that they're going to be officially releasing it. So again, I have this setup is kind of weird. Sorry about that. So this is never done before. So they're keeping the information quiet so far, but it's bound to be good. These are the same creators that they've released Amazon programs in the past that were very timely. So when a lot of people I know that have taken their Amazon programs have made money from it. And then they've also had drop shipping programs that were just amazing. In fact, that's where I got my drop shipping information from. And we had some sites and we did okay, but we kind of hit one of their last trainings on it. And it was just the tail end of the drop shipping gold rush. So they've kind of shifted away from that because that's not really the best place to be. Now, you can still make money drop shipping. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people doing it, but with the particular method where you're buying from China and shipping in, we had major problems with our stuff getting stuck in Chicago. And then we had to refund people. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, it's been 45 days. We have to refund them. And then 2 days later, it would either show up and we'd be like, too late, we already refunded, or it wouldn't show up at all, or we would never know because they wouldn't update it in the post office's tracking system. So it was just kind of shipping issues, huh? I guess that's the one pitfall with e-commerce is shipping. So Aiden and Steve, they keep up with e-commerce trends, and their training programs are always very good. I've never had a training program from them where I've been like, oh, I can't believe I didn't get what I paid for. I've never said that. Now I have been like, man, I wish I would have known this sooner, or, oh, hey, I wish I hadn't stopped in week 4 and skipped a couple weeks, and that would be me, then not them. But anyway, so a little more on this method. So it says, with this method, you don't need to involve Amazon. You don't need to deal with warehouses or foreign suppliers. Neither do you need to run Facebook ads or worry about inventory. Now, my observation, and you'll see more when we talk about this a little bit more, is that this does appear to be a variation of drop shipping. And you'll see why. Assuming I can change this. There we go. So this is their new method that's coming out. It's a training program over an 8-week period that shows people how to make money using a very unique style of e-commerce that have made their beta participants millions of dollars over the past couple of years completely under the radar. And again, what little information is here it sounds a lot like what a couple of other programs are trying to do, but never have been able to fine tune. So I just want to make that clear that just because this has never been done before, according to them, doesn't mean it actually hasn't ever been done. It just means that this is a variation that they're doing on it. So this is what makes this different to other e-commerce methods is that this is much faster and easier for people to implement, even if they have no previous experience. There's no Amazon, no Facebook, and no inventory. The no Facebook thing is nice, right? Now, I'm a big Amazon fan, but I'm also frustrated with some of the stuff that happened with Amazon, which again, we'll talk about with the Amazon webinar. So this method is based on a famous brick and mortar store that uses the model to make billions of dollars every year, selling literally every single type of product you can imagine. So that's kind of cool, right? I mean, before we've always been kind of restricted to specific products. So it sounds like this can work with just about anything. They fill their store up with products, see what sells, put the best selling products in more visible places, remove what doesn't sell, then they continue to add new products, remove, replace, repeat, right? And they just keep optimizing. And they've tested this. So Aiden and Steve and their e-commerce team, I guess, They have they've been testing this over the last 2 years, and they've made significant profits on it. Otherwise, they wouldn't release it. So here's how it generally works, and this is straight from them. You buy a high quality generic domain name with tools. And just as an FYI, we are setting up a store where you can purchase domains cheap. I'll tell you how to get that at the end of this. The second step, you set up an e-commerce store and you use their system to do this. Then you identify profitable products using the software, select from around 3 million items, which is kind of crazy. And the training will have you focus on profitable products, not necessarily a niche or specific market. Now, this deviates from the kind of the norm that's been happening. We've been seeing a shift to niche or specific markets. And so they're kind of deviating from it where they're focusing on profitable products. But that is an interesting strategy to me. And I'd like to see more about what they have to say about that. Now, I'm going to tell you the 3 million items this is compared to the only competitor as far as like they're talking about drop shipping products in the US, and which I know we haven't got that far, but that's what they're talking about. And their competitor, which is a big competitor, by the way, as far as like they are expensive and they have a couple thousand people, I think, that buy from them, but they only have 50,000 products. So getting access to 3 million items that where they're shipping from the US is kind of crazy. That's awesome. So then after that, you load the website with products, and you don't need to worry about images or text creation. That's going to be all part of their system. You're going to send traffic to the product listings. And as an FYI, as with all traffic information, there does appear that this is going to be an additional cost. Okay, so that's the way it is with traffic generation. You're going to end up spending money. They say that theirs is cheap though. So because they're not using Facebook, I mean, that's going to be cheap compared to Facebook, right? So when you make a sale, the USA-based suppliers drop ship to customers directly. And again, that's kind of interesting because several companies have tried to do this USA-based drop ship thing, and the main competitor I'm talking about it costs an arm and a leg. I mean, I think it costs as much for this program as it does for 1 year access to them. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that'll be interesting to see as well. And then of course you fine tune your store as long as you and you keep making the sales and repeating the process. So, and there are some more steps, but these are just generally the overview of that. So a lot of questions that I get over forever is, what are e-commerce costs? And so when you break it down, and I kind of broke this down with everything, because if you're like, oh, hey, I'm getting training, that shouldn't really be included, but that kind of is, right? If you're looking at it from somebody who's trying to invest money, how much money do I need to invest before I can possibly make a profit versus, okay, well, how much money do I have to spend on, a lot of people focus on one element and not the whole thing. So that's what I was looking at here. I was trying to kind of give you guys an idea. So I did Amazon, Aiden and Steve's new method, and then print on demand. So with Amazon, the training that I recommend, which of course you can find cheaper trainings, but I've tried some and they're not very good. In fact, I've forked out a small fortune for trainings that were not very good. This one, I actually went through it again and it's very, very good. So if you do the one payment, it's $5,000, and then they have 6 monthly payments, which make it $6,000 over 6 months. Inventory and samples, I'm going to say $1,200 to $10,000 plus. Now, some people who have had connections have been able to get that expense down to, a few $100s up front, but I think you should just assume $1,200 up front for inventory and samples. I think it's silly to think that you're not going to be paying that much if you got to get the samples, buy them, bring them over. You also have monthly selling fees on Amazon of $39.99 per month. And while that may sound like a lot, it's not. When you start getting enough products on there and everything, it's actually not that much. So marketing expenses, I put $500 to $2,000. Now this is a guess. Honestly, I'm sure they come up with a dollar amount that's different in there, but this is kind of a guess for me because it really depends on your initial product. If you have a lower priced product or a product that has less competition on the keywords, you're going to be spending less on your marketing expenses. Like I think I might spend $2,000 for the entire year on mine, and I make money, right? So let's just go with $500 to $2,000. So you're going to looking at a total upfront cost of at least $6,700, maybe more, depending on that. But if you were to say, hey, I've got $8,000, can I make this work? Yeah, Amazon will work for you. Why do I hear music? That was crazy. That was really crazy. Anyway, I must have something open somewhere. Anyway, so let's talk about Aiden and Steve's new method then. So their training, it's listed at $34.97. Sometimes these prices, they tell us one price and it comes out different, but that's what it's listed at. They'll probably have a monthly payment plan available. There is no inventory. Remember, this is a drop shipping method. So you have some possible costs for digital assets, such as a domain name. And of course, I'm sure they'll have options through them, but you can always buy through us for $9.99 a year for a .com. And we have all the other ones as well, but that's the one we have set up right now. And then I don't know if they're going to have any monthly selling fees. Typically, when they've had something that would cost us money, they'll go, okay, get the first year free or something. But they've been pretty good about including everything. So, but we don't know that dollar amount yet. Marketing expenses, they said cheap, but there's still going to be something. So I'm just going to say an estimate of $500. And so you're looking at about $4,000 to get started with their program before you start making money. That's my guess. Now, it could just be the $3,500 and that's it. But let's just, make sure we're realistic here. It could be closer to $4,000. So print on demand. I don't have a training course that I would recommend. I've actually bought training courses, $1,000, $1,500, $2,500. They were horrible. They were horrible and focused on selling whatever their partner program was. So you can get enough info from our free training on Printful, and I'll give you more info in a minute if you don't have access to that right now. But if Printful is the program that we recommend because they have high quality products, but you can take that training and apply it just about anywhere. So you don't have inventory with print on demand, but you're going to have some sample costs. If you are just willy-nilly going in and going, oh, you want to partner with this program, I'm going to sell their stuff, you're going to have a higher return rate. So you want to make sure that your designs and your prints are coming out right. So you're probably going to spend anywhere from $200 to $1,000 on samples is a good guess. And then, of course, if you have any digital assets, etc. Now, monthly selling fees, again, if you're selling on Amazon, you're doing print on demand through Amazon, not through Merch by Amazon, but your own products, then you're going to be paying the $39.99 a month. If you're selling on Etsy, you're going to have Etsy fees, etc. So it's going to vary. So marketing expenses, I just went with $500 to $2,000 again, depending on the sales platform. It's probably going to be higher if you're not selling on Etsy or Amazon. If you're selling on your own e-commerce, it would be a lot higher. So you could assume $700, but I wouldn't say $700 to profit in this case. I would say $700 to kind of just get going. So, and that's mostly going to be in your marketing expenses. And of course, if you keep your samples low. But I want to also emphasize that I do not feel this model generates income replacement profit at this point. You have to build to that. So that's something that's going to be a long-term one. All right. So additional thoughts on e-commerce. So there are very few business models where you can make a lot of money quickly. Those tend to be called scams if you do. So just keep that in mind. That's something that the e-commerce isn't something you just all of a sudden go, oh, hey, I made $1 million this month. You don't just wake up one day, start an e-commerce store and make a ton of money. And again, if you did, those tend to be lumped into federal crimes. So just something to keep in mind. No matter where you sell or what you sell, you need to consider additional costs for marketing, advertising, and generally driving traffic. This is just the way it works. Now, that cost could be you putting in man hours, right? But it's not free. Traffic isn't free. It's an investment of time. So those are things that you may want to budget at least for. So, okay, yeah, I may not have the money for marketing, but it's going to take me longer to build up an audience then. Now, I like selling on Amazon because I get very few customer inquiries. Most of the inquiries are handled by Amazon. I do get an occasional, hey, can you make me this? Which is really weird through Amazon. But most people go on there, they buy, they return it if they don't like it, or they just keep it if they don't want to return it, whatever. So I've done that before where I bought a cord and it didn't work. So I gave them their 1-star review and then I just kept it. I didn't return it. It was like $8. I don't have time to go down and return that. Anyway, that's just me. So I also like selling on Amazon because it has built-in traffic, right? So people that are going there are already intent on buying. And then my paid ads are in front of buyer traffic. So when I'm paying $1 a click or $1.50 a click, which actually I don't even get that high on mine usually, but if I'm paying that, I am paying that to somebody who's more likely to buy than somebody on Facebook who's just like, oh, that looks cool. Click. Oh, well, I'm not in a buying mood or whatever, right? Because Facebook is interruption marketing. So it's just, I really like that built-in environment on Amazon. And now I also like the drop shipping model because I don't have to buy inventory up front. But finding good suppliers at reasonable prices has been a nightmare in the past and hard to find US-based suppliers. There was no national database for that. That's what a lot of these companies popped up the last couple of years going, oh, hey, yeah, you could get US-based suppliers from us. And then you go in there. I worked with one, I was a manufacturer, so I supplied stuff. I worked with one where the margins were so small. People were basically just signing up to get discounts on stuff. So it's been a long haul for US-based suppliers. So getting access to 3 million would be very interesting. And again, there is a company that offers US-based drop shippers, but they charge an arm and a leg monthly to access the list. And you're limited to 50,000 products. Okay, sorry about that. So what are Kim and Chrissy doing in 2020? We will continue our respective stores. And of course, we have our other businesses as well, but for e-commerce specifically, we're going to continue our respective stores. So I'm on Amazon, Chrissy's on Etsy. We will continue to test print-on-demand products and suppliers. If we get another solid company besides Printful, we'll share that with you. And again, I want to emphasize we mostly use the print-on-demand method for fundraising, for selling personalized items, and then designs that match our themes. For example, this is our method for promoting products to fundraise for preservation of the Foundation Morgan Horse, as I talked about earlier. So we can come up with a design that's specifically targeted to that audience and share that with them. I seem to be hitting my cap for how long I could talk, so I'll just try to finish this up real quick. So after going through the Amazon training that I recommend, I went through it again to, write up that post, put more information in there. And I'm honestly looking at starting a second brand up there because it's really good training. They've made some stuff really easy, and we'll talk again about that on the 7th. So my first quarter plans right now, we're already in January. So my first quarter was already set up with building up my local business here in Utah and just kind of adjusting to my move from Texas to Utah. For those who didn't know, I did move. But I do recommend that anyone jumping into e-commerce get started sooner rather than later. For most niches, for most markets, sales are going to continue through Mother's Day, and then they're going to slump during the summer months until school gets back in. And then depending on your niche, you may not see very many sales until after school's back and the holidays start to pick back up. So that's just something to keep in mind, that if you get started now, you can start testing. And then if you actually get sales through the summer months, you know that those are a demand product. Now my sister and I are also considering Aiden and Steve's new method because we like the drop shipping model, but we had problems with suppliers and shipping. And the reason why we had problems with shipping was because it was international and it was coming in to China or into Chicago and getting stuck. So that's just, if we can overcome that with US suppliers, hey, and we can still make a profit, that's definitely worth it. So it's something we're going to be looking at, but you guys have as much information as we do. So we have to wait for it to get released as well. So now what about more information? Assuming you can still understand me because I am getting stuffier and stuffier, then you can get information this way. If you want information on buying cheap domains, just go to littlebizresources.com/domains. That will redirect you to the Twin Web Design cheap name domains site, which we're still kind of setting up, but you could get .com domains for $9.99. This includes the renewal price. So I know a lot of times you get in for a cheap price like that, and then they jump the price the next year. We're not doing that. It's going to be locked into whatever the lowest price is that we can offer. So that's just something that we thought we would put together for you. We don't really make any money on this. In fact, we don't make any money right now on this. So if you guys need .com domains, you can go there. Just go to littlebizresources.com/domains. And we're building the site. So if you run into problems, pricing comes out weird, something like that, just reach out to me. If you want more information on selling on Amazon, go to littlebizresources.com/Amazon. That will take you to my article about selling on Amazon. We are also going to have a live webinar on January 14th. It'll be posted hopefully shortly, for 4 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Mountain time, which is where I am now. So I like to tell that so I can remember in my brain. And then you can ask your questions on this post beforehand, right? So just go ahead and put them below. If you're like, oh, hey, I want to know how much do you make on Amazon? You can, won't have a number yet because it's still January, but I'm working on it. Maybe we'll have something, but you can throw that question down there and I'll include it in the live webinar on, January 14th. We're going to do the 14th. Today's the 7th, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Holy cow. Okay. So yeah, on the 14th, we're going to do that. Not the 7th, like I've been saying. Anyway, so you can post questions below and I'll include those. If you can't make it live, of course, the replay will be up in the group. So for more information on Aiden and Steve's new method, you can go to littlebizresources.com/KIBO. I believe it's pronounced Kibo, but that is where you can go for that. And you can sign up. For right now, it's just sign up for information. For more information on print on demand or Printful, sign up for Printful at littlebizresources.com/Printful. Then contact me and I'll add you to the training course. So that's just the way we have it linked. So, you can use Printful at least to get started. And then if you want to expand out to others, you can. And feel free to reach out to me through Facebook Messenger once you've done that and send your information there, or, tag me in the group or something. And for those of you who are watching this on our Facebook page and you are not in our group yet, please feel free to join us, the Lead Generation Source group. It's at facebook.com/groups/lead generation source, or just search for Lead Generation Source in the groups on Facebook and you will find us, answer the questions that are there, and we'll get you in. We just need to make sure that we filter out the spammers, right? So we'll have more on all of these methods. I will post the live schedule, so the placeholder for you guys for the January 14th webinar as soon as I can, probably later tonight. And until then, I'm going to have to see how well this worked. So I know a couple of people popped in, but nobody said anything. So I appreciate those of you that did pop in, and let me know any questions or comments or anything. Feel free to just leave them on this post and I'll include what I can if it's about Amazon.